Years ago, the whole world came together and said that the use of chemical weapons was morally indefensible and completely wrong. And what we've seen in Syria are appalling scenes of death and suffering because of the use of chemical weapons by the Assad regime. And I don't believe we can let that stand. Now, of course, any action we take or others take would have to be legal, would have to be proportionate. It would have to be specifically to deter and degrade the future use of chemical weapons. Let me stress to people, this is not about getting involved in a Middle Eastern war or changing our stance in Syria or going further into that conflict. It's nothing to do with that. It's about chemical weapons. Their use is wrong, and the world shouldn't stand idly by.
So it's clear it's a tactical move, possibly, but what do you say to the millions of people who will see this in their front rooms tonight, who will say, what's Syria got to do with risking the lives of UK servicemen and women and spending millions of pounds in UK taxpayers' money?
Well, the question we have to ask ourselves is, if there is no action following this big use of chemical weapons, is it going to be more likely in future that more and more regimes will use chemical weapons, that this regime will use them again and again on a larger scale, and we'll see more death and more suffering? It must be right to have some rules in our world and to try to enforce those rules. Now, of course, as Prime Minister, I take my responsibilities about safeguarding our armed services incredibly carefully, incredibly seriously. But the question we need to ask is whether acting or not acting will make the use of chemical weapons more prevalent.